This is very, very important.
Right, course is important plus researching. Don't just blindly apply to computer science because the society tells you to
You
do
got
so.
me. You got me.
Don't.
But paying an X amount, like council these are very costly.
Yeah, they
Like,
are.
So you have to pay that.
Yeah, so only if you're very sure you have to pay that.
Exactly. We open it together and it's just confetti.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling congratulations. We have been admitted in the class of 27. I was this very ambitious girl who wanted to be the national topper, and that was my one goal. Like I stuck with that goal up until my board result.
So 1, 2, 3. Hey everyone. Welcome back to Ananya.
And today we have Ananya with us. Thank you so much for coming, Ananya.
Always a pleasure.
It's honestly very esteemed and very pleasure it is for us to have you here. Thank you so much. And Ananya is an incoming freshman at Harvard who's going to be pursuing her major in government. And honestly, without taking it any further, please Ananya, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Alright, so hi everyone. My name is Ananya Chaudhary. I'm an incoming freshman at Harvard, like they mentioned rightly. I just completed my class 12 at the City Montessori School, Aliganj Campus 1 with 96%. And my subjects were physics, chemistry, mathematics, and legal studies. I was the head girl of my campus. I am the co-founder of the Bhumi Initiative. I am also a national level karate player. I participated in a lot of model UNs. I participated in a lot of public speaking, diplomacy events, and by and large that is who I have been. I also love dancing and I am a trained Kathak dancer. So that's pretty much about me.
So how has the feeling been? मतलब जब से हार्वर्ड गए हो तो क्या फीलिंग लग रही है कि अब तो सब अचीव कर लिया मैंने, अब क्या बचा मेरे पास?
Of course, I mean, when I got into Harvard, it was very overwhelming. I made that reaction video and all of that. So of course, it was like an emotional ride for me. And now that I've gotten in and a couple of months have passed ever since April, so it feels like I am sort of part of that community now. And it's been an emotional roller coaster ride because I talk to the people there and then I sort of make that contrast that these are the things that I won't get at home and these will be the things that I won't get at college.
Right.
So it's overwhelming, but at the same time I'm so ready for it because it's going to be a hell lot of an adventure. So
for sure.
Right.
I mean, okay, so how did the journey start? Honestly,
Okay.
applying abroad, the essays, which course to take, whether to start in India or not, the scholarships, everything. Like, how did it start?
Okay. A very long question.
Yeah. A very holistic question, but starting thing.
Okay, so studying abroad was not my primary option at all. So up until class 11, like mid of class 11th, I was a CLAT aspirant and I wanted to pursue CLAT because of course for a normal Indian you'd go and talk to them and if they want to do law, they want to give CLAT and either they want to go in the corporate field or they want to go to that criminal field, right? These are the two fields people talk about and this is what I thought for myself as well. So up until the mid of class 11, I was like, I'll give CLAT. I used to talk to people who are from NLUs and all, and I was like, alright, this is what I have to do, and lakhs of people will compete, and I'm going to be one of them, and everyone, a batch of them is going to go into NL, SIU, and all of that. So I think that's when it hit me that I have been kind of that person who has always stood out, and I tried my best to always stand out in the crowd. So when I realized that I'll ultimately have to settle with a crowd whom I have studied with all my life, and they will also get into NLSIU, I will also get into NLSIU. So what is the point of whatever I've done so far up until class 11? So I have participated and I have done so many things, but then all of that will go into vain if I don't utilize that part of my personality. So that's when I realized that okay, I am not going to go on the conventional field. I will do something that will be different. I'll do something of what I have planned. So that's when I decided that I'll study abroad. And then of course there were a lot of study abroad sessions that happened in my school. So that helped a lot to sort of figure out that this is one space that I can sort of go to. That was your answer one, that why did I choose to study abroad? Because ultimately studying in the best law university in India was possible, so why not study in the best university in the world? So that was the plan. So the next question, my ECs and my academics and just in general, your question was so long, so I'll have to
I mean, just talk about the journey. We'll get to the academics a little later.
Alright, so what next should I talk about?
Okay, so what did a day in a life of Ananya look like when she was in the 11th grade? When she decided, okay, I have my aim set on these many universities abroad. Like, I get up, I go to school, I come back. What was your day like?
Okay, great. So, I completed my class 11th and till then I hadn't started my process. I just knew that I had to, but like any other teenager, I was procrastinating. And I kept on procrastinating because I thought, ki, alright, I have to appear for the SAT. That will be done in class 12. I have to write essays. I'll do it in class 12. And unknowing of the pressure that I'm going to face in class 12. So in 11th, I was just this person who was sort of, completing her major part of my 11th was me as the head girl. So I used to do everything with respect to me being the head girl and then the co-founder. So Bhumi, like my organization, the Bhumi Initiative, and me being the head girl were just the two last parts of my life in 11th. Then when I came to class 12, I realized that alright, now I need to start without any further ado and so on and so forth. So then I joined a private coaching for chemistry as well. So a typical day in my life would look like this. And I also completed my application process under Gaurav sir's consultancy, right? So a typical day in my life as a PCN student sounded like this, looked like this. I used to wake up and as a head girl I had to report like half an hour before the normal school starts. So 7:30 I'm at school. I'm leaving the school at 2:10. Then I'm going to Gaurav sir's coaching center in Hazratganj. That's like super far from Aligarh. I'm going there and coming back, and then I'm still in my uniform. And then coming back to my chemistry coaching, it's 6 p.m. I'm leaving at 7:30 and then I'm going home. So 7:30 my day starts, 7:30 my day ended at
12-hour shift complete.
12 hours shift complete. And there's this thing called me time, right?
Yeah.
That didn't exist for me. The only me time I had was reflecting that will I get in or will I not get in? So that was my me time, right? Okay. And so this was like a large chunk of what class 12 was for me, and that was also again after August. I started my application process after August, and again, if anyone's watching this, don't do that. It will just suck. It will just hurt you a lot mentally. So, right, August is started. So I will start now if you haven't. Okay. So the second phase of my life, where that phase was, that phase had started, and I have to like rush with my application process now, no matter what. So I was shortlisting universities, and Cornell was my ED, right? I decided that I will go to Cornell, and everything in my life was centered around Cornell. And I wanted to apply ED there, so early decision. You guys know, right? So I wanted to apply early decision, and because a couple of seniors had already went there, and they went on a full scholarship with a Tata scholar, right? Exactly. So they went there, and I was very pumped up. I was like, okay, alright, I'll do this because I have worked on my profile. I've done so much, and so I was pretty confident. I completed the process and everything was done. I submitted my application, and then I get the decision, and I got deferred. And it was not even. I didn't even know what to do because it wasn't a rejection. It wasn't an acceptance. They just deferred me, and I was like, okay, all right. A part of me didn't even know what deferred mean for a large chunk of time. So I had to understand that whole concept. Then came the phase in I think like late December, so December 15 was the day I got my result of Cornell, and then up until December 31st to the first week of January I had other applications I had to complete. So from August to November I was only focusing on Cornell, and that took like August, September, October, November, 4 months for only Cornell, because I had researched so much about that place, and then I had 15 days to complete everything else. Only 15 days for around, I applied to 20 universities, that's an approximate number, so it was like 17 or something, so let's say 20. And Cornell was just one of them, and I had other essays to complete, and we are talking about Ivies, we are talking about the university I'm going, Harvard, so right. And I sat with my counselor and we were discussing what colleges I should apply to now that this has happened. I was writing and we were like, alright, we'll apply to maybe let's try Mount Holyoke, and so I stooped down from Cornell because obviously if I'm getting deferred, so I'm not going to go up with that, right? So I was like, okay, I'll apply to Mount Holyoke, and I'll apply to a couple universities, maybe Amherst and all of that. So these are great colleges, and Rochester was one of them. So I was like, okay, I'll do that and I'll give everything. And then sir asked me this question, my counselor asked me this question, do you want to apply to any other Ivies? He said that we will apply to other Ivies. I was like, sir, there is no point. If Cornell is not accepting me, I am not going to waste my time. I have my boards, and I was a super, how do I say it? I was this very ambitious girl who wanted to be the national topper, and that was my one goal. Like I stuck with that goal up until my board result.
The goal was to become the national topper, not pass the board exam.
No, it was to become the national topper, because the head girl who was there before me was the national topper. So that pressure was directly ingrained upon me that I have to be the national topper. And even if 1% of me didn't want to, the whole 99% of my surrounding was like, you have to be. If not, then you are a failure. So that's what was ingrained in me, right? So I was like, national topper, it is for me. So because I spent so much time on my applications already, I needed to cover for my boards. And January had already started, was starting next month, and I was like, sir, if you are going to apply to the IVs, don't expect that I'm going to give you good essays or good anything, because I cannot do that. I'm not mentally in that shape, and I just won't be able to. And he was like, okay, what IVs are we talking about? And if you suggest, because I'm done, I'm done with IVs. He's like, okay, let's apply to Yale and Brown, and I was like, okay. And I just mentioned, I just mentioned that, you know, sir, as a teenager or as a child, everyone looks up to Harvard, Stanford, Princeton, and Stanford isn't an Ivy, but again. So I just casually mentioned it. He's like, okay, we'll apply at Harvard. I'm like, okay, you can make fun of me, but it's not funny anymore. I'm not in a good shape. Don't talk to me. He's like, alright, we'll still try. And so the deadline to submit the Harvard application was January 1st. Okay. And I am still writing my Harvard essay with no vision in mind. And there's this like page, I still have that. It's like I'm going to frame it or whatever. I'm writing my universities that are left. I have to submit the application to these universities, and Harvard is like written at the end, and it's written in a very fainted way that, you know, Harvard University exactly हो जाएगा तो चले जाएंगे, let's see, पता नहीं, छोड़ो. It was just that one big shot I took, which I knew would never happen. And I submitted my application on December 31st, and I was like very casual about it. I was like, क्यों करवा रहे हो मेरे से, when I'm not going to get it. Like being confident for me was no longer an option, because that confidence was sucked out of my soul when I got deferred, and then pre-boards and everything. So right, that happened. And then like I submitted my application, and it was like my boards were beginning on the 13th of February, and I get a mail on 8th, roughly it was 8th. And the subject of the mail and the send, like who sends, you get it on the notifications and all, right? So it just mentioned Harvard University, and I was like, what is this? And then I opened that mail, and that mail the subject was Harvard University interview. And for me, my journey with Harvard was done there. I was like, I have touched the skies. I am going to talk to someone from Harvard. Are you serious? And I remember I was like, nobody was at home, only I was there, and I received that mail. I was studying for my English exam, and I threw everything. I am like jumping. I am out of control.
Justified.
It was just an interview call, and it wasn't finalized that, you know, that I may be good in the interview, or I may not. I was just so happy to see that Harvard University interview. And so I click on the mail, and it says that, hi Ananya, I'm your interviewer, and, you know, are you free on the 18th? And I'm like, okay, 28th of February is my math board examination, 19th I have my Harvard interview. Okay, that is so sweet of you. But I mean, of course, I couldn't have asked him to reschedule or anything. Like, I would give up my life for that interview again. So like that happened, and then I call my counselor, I call everyone I know, and I'm like, listen, I've got this interview and I've touched Harvard, and I'm so like, you know, you just go to a temple and then you touch the floor and you're like, you know, you're blessed. That was the feel for me. And so like I gave my English, and so I called my advisor again, counselor again, and he's like, alright, so now we need to begin practicing for the interview, we need to prepare, and we need to do this. And like, sir, hello, I have my 2 board examinations, I have English, literature, language on 13 and 14, I'm not going to, like, you won't even feel my presence up until then. He's like, you know what you're gambling with Howard. I'm like, sir, I'm gambling with my boards as well. And he legit had a fight with me on that call. He was like, you have to prepare for the interview. I was like, I don't have time, don't. And so a large chunk of January for me was fighting with my counselor, and he used to always, like, he used to fight with my mother on call, because my mother used to call him, she used to be like, she's so exhausted, why are you making her apply to the IVs when she thinks that she'll not get in? I have full faith in my daughter that she'll get in, but I don't want to see the kind of mental exhaustion she's going through. And my advisor used to be like, ma'am, you're not understanding, let her try, motivate her. And so I just used to fight with him, and we used to have conversations about how he's wasting my time and I'm not getting, so why are you wasting my time? Again, that's the thing that happened for the interview as well. So I gave my English and English literature and language board, and that 1 week I got for my math preparation. And maths was that one subject I was super confident about, that I'll score 100 no matter what, because I was scoring like the highest throughout my pre-boards comparatives, highest, second highest. That was the thing for me. And like I was largely considered as someone who could solve math questions, so that's like a flex in my school. Okay, so that was going on. And then I was like, okay, I'll give like 4 days for the interview, then I'll like delegate 2 days for my board. And that's what I did. And I just remember talking to Gaurav sir on call like throughout 24/7. He's taking mock interviews and we are like, I'm turning my camera off and then I'm joining and I'm like, hello sir, good afternoon, I'm Ananya. That was the mock interview practice. And then one night before, like midnight of the interview, my interview was to begin at 10, and midnight I connected with this counselor abroad. And so she was like guiding me a little, and I remember her saying this thing that, I don't need to guide you, you're already through and you're just good to go. Why are you wasting time at midnight with me? And I was like, okay, that's a good compliment, let's see how that goes. So next day I wake up, it's 10 a.m. and I'm all set. I have asked everyone to not even breathe where I am sitting, to just take their business out of the whole house because I don't want any single noise. And so everyone leaves, everyone goes upstairs and I'm sitting downstairs. And like I have this blazer on, I'm fully dressed like a formal person, any average Indian going to MUNs. So I was dressed like that. And I joined the meeting before my interviewer did. It was, I don't know, it was like an open Zoom meeting, so you could join because you have waiting rooms conventionally, but I don't know, that wasn't the case that time. So I have joined the meeting, I have my camera on, and he joins. I'm like, hello sir, good morning. It was kind of like, I don't know, it was nice.
Were you like shivering or something?
I was shivering and I wasn't showing it, but like, you just feel this sort of a cold in your chest and your heart drops, and that was the feeling I had. So he joins and I am super formally dressed. He joins in with like a bowl in his hand. He's like eating, wearing a very sloppy t-shirt, and he was super chill. And I wasn't expecting a Howard interviewer to be so chill. And that's when I realized that that's just how abroad works. Every interviewer I met, uske baad was super chill. So he joins, and conventionally you prepare for interviews like, introduce yourself, why do you want to study at Harvard, what do you want to study. So that I thought that's what he's going to ask me, and so I prepared on those lines. My interview was all about how I was brought up and what values do I carry with myself, and it was a super long interview, like 1 hour 15 minutes. And I think he knows more about me than my friends do in terms of my personal life. So he did not want to know my professional life, he wanted to know me as a person. And gradually I became so comfortable in the interview, I started opening up too much and I was like, that's fine, anyway, that's what he wanted. And I remember he asked me this one question. He asked me that, what is the one thing that is very important to you? And for a second I paused in my brain and I was thinking, I can say anything right now, this is like my deciding question. And a couple of things were going in my mind, but I just impromptu said that growth. And I just feel like that's a cool answer.
Growth is a very witty answer.
I mean, it just came out of my mouth. I don't know. And I said that, and then he started laughing. He's like, how can an 18-year-old get such an intellectual answer? I'm like, even I don't know, but let me explain. So I explained everything to him, and then so he was like, he said that I was expecting you to say something like ice cream or whatever, but then you are here saying growth. So that happened, and so it was like a good interview, and I think I'm still in touch with my interview, so that's the great part of it. And the interview ended, and I had touched Howard, and I was like, I'm blessed, that's the Howard for me. And then what happened was, after my boards ended, so 1 week after the boards, I had the IB decisions coming in. And I just remember I was talking to my people on a WhatsApp group, and we were all just discussing how, I'll get to know where I'm going or where I'm not. And I had already registered for CUET because I got rejected and waitlisted from a couple of schools before I got the IB decisions, and those were supposed to be my safety schools. And I was like, I'm getting deferred and rejected there. What am I like? I wasn't expecting anything on the IB day. So 31st of March, 4 a.m. the results were supposed to come out, 4 or 5 a.m. or something. And then like I opened the portal. I have put up my camera for the reaction video. I did the same for Cornell and I ended up crying that day. So my family was like, stop the reaction video. It's fine, because I had sort of mentally shaped them into believing that I will not get. And I used to say it so much that, listen, I'll not get and be mentally prepared. I'm going to DU. That was something I used to say. Also, they were also like mentally prepared that okay, if she gets rejected, that's fine. Everyone was sort of conditioned that way. And so I opened Cornell. I began with Cornell because I thought that maybe they still think that I can join it.
Yeah.
And I opened, it's a rejection. Then I opened Yale. Then I opened Brown. And tab tak I wasn't getting any positive response.
Okay.
And then I just like Harvard and Dartmouth were left.
Okay.
So I opened. I'm sitting and my father comes and he's like, as it is here, you're not getting accepted or whatever, and you're so heartless and you're projecting a lot of negativity. So you move, I'll open this portal, the Harvard portal.
So he had a lucky touch.
Yeah, and it's all recorded in the video. It's not even that I'm exaggerating, it's recorded. So then he joins in and he's like, you move, you just get out. I'm like, okay. And then we open it together. And it's just confetti.
Yeah.
And I'm reading, congratulations,
Wow.
get been admitted to the class of 27. I just remember I was in shock, I was in denial, I just didn't know, I wasn't breathing, I was just shouting, screaming, everything. So I think that is one moment I'll never forget in my whole life. Everyone starts crying except my father, because he was still checking if I'm
Sahi khula hai ki
yeah,
nahi?
exactly. No, exactly. He was like, रुक जाओ मैं पढ़ लूँ, let me read पहले. तो वो पढ़ रहे हैं उसे, and everyone is like crying in the background in the video. He's like still एकदम सामने video के, and he's like reading. Transformative college experience awaits you. हो गया. I guess you're in. And then he realizes that I'm in, and then everyone realizes that I'm going to Harvard, and I know it's like a burst of emotion. And then I opened Dartmouth and I got waitlisted there. So I was like,
I don't care. I want Harvard.
yeah. So I mean that happened.
Yeah.
So I got into Harvard, and then I called my counselor, and everyone is awake. Everyone's awake because everyone was waiting for the decisions.
Yeah.
And so I tell them that guess where I got in. Yeah, so that happened.
Yeah.
So matlab, I think that was the journey of getting into Harvard, like a little bit about my IVD, and the mic has sort of
कोई नहीं भी है।
cool.
ठीक है। So now if we come to part of academics,
Okay.
आप CMS में हो, 11th में
Yeah.
नंबर नहीं देते वो लोग।
Yeah, obviously.
फिर मेरे मतलब I have friends who have gotten less than मतलब below average marks in 11th, and they're very demotivated. They
Yeah.
कह रहे हैं अब तो भाई हम कहीं नहीं जाएंगे, अब इंडिया में कहीं रहना पड़ेगा। So आपके हिसाब से क्या सोच रहे हैं वो?
Okay, I'm laughing because me for real.
Yeah.
So, okay, obviously class 11th does that to you, because when you shift from 10th to 11th, you're not ready for it.
Yeah.
You don't know what to read in those PCM books or humanities books or whatever. You just know that, okay, I have taken this stream. A large chunk of students don't even want to study that stream, but they still do because of parental pressure and societal pressure. So you don't know how to begin. And I think I'll just share my experience so that people can understand more. I also didn't know how to begin, and I was very casual about 11th, like every other person would be. I was super casual. I was like, 11th, okay. And this like a free year, and that notion was there that I'll not like be super concentrated on my studies. So I think initially class 11th, I like for a couple of months I was very chill. I wasn't studying at all because it was locked down and I was in my home. So we used to have online classes. And then when offline school began, I realized the intensity of it all, because the teacher used to say something and I used to be like, wait, I don't think so that I relate to any of this. Let's just circle back to like page 1. And I used to be absolutely blank throughout the lectures. So I realized that no, this is like I'm going on the wrong path, because ultimately I have to pass class 11 at least. I cannot just sit and relax and ultimately study like I used to in class 10. So I buckled up, and then like I did math coaching and everything. So in maths I scored 65 out of 70, and I was like super pumped up. I was like, that's so much for class 11.
Yeah.
And everyone was stunned. Everyone was like, how are you even existing? This is class 11. Are you for real? And then like I kind of pumped up myself. So ultimately I did not score in 90s. My percentage was not in the 90s, because like he said, you
90s
generally
in his 11th is like that. You like talk about 70s.
right,
80s,
exactly.
yeah.
So you don't. It's just that you don't get ingrained with that notion that you'll score in the 90s. You're just like, anything between 75 to 80 or 85 is enough. So I was like, let's see how much I score. And then examinations went by and I stood 8th in my class. And I wasn't very academically,
Yeah.
very good in class 11. And that's the question I asked to my school counselor. I was like, ma'am, I have really raised up in 11th. What are my
Yeah.
odds of getting in? She's like, I cannot give you odds. And like up until I got in, nobody gave me odds. They were just like, just go with the flow. And I realized that, if you are showing growth, like I mentioned, if you're showing that you have really messed up in class 11th, like you have absolutely, scored like in 60s, and you're just, you're kind of failing in class 11th. But then you show that in class 12th, your grades have just gone up. Like gone up in the sense, when I appeared for my first comparative examination, so like that's midterm for CNS.
You came first, right?
I came first.
Yeah.
And I had studied a lot for that because I knew one thing that will save my application was the weight of a rank and was like, to show them growth. So that's what I decided and that's when I buckled up a lot. But if I can advise anyone anything, it would be that don't take your 11th casually, because what will happen is whatever you will study in class 12th will somehow be related to 11th. So you will have to circle back to that basic knowledge. And plus, if you're someone who's applying abroad, you'll have to not only manage your applications, also your studies, and then also you'll have to circle back to class 11. So why not reduce that rate? So again, I think I always advise people who are in class 11 that don't take your studies lightly. Like, of course, you won't be able to take it that seriously because of how the environment is in class 11, but like don't be super casual about it. Like don't fail, at least try. So try all the chapters once.
Be serious about it.
Yeah,
That's it.
just
Understood.
study everything once. It's fine if you're giving more time to your extracurriculars or whatever, but still be in the study zone, because when you'll be in 12th, you won't automatically just push a button and be super studious. You'll sort of have to phase it all out. So I think I was studious in class 11, but I was super studious in class 12. So that's what it was for me in class 11. And I would advise the same to everyone that if you have really messed up your class 11, don't worry. Just give people reasons to not take. Just not only look at that part of your application, but give them so many more reasons to look at other different parts. So that that part is covered by everything else you are as a person. So right.
So do you think good SAT or ACT score will make up for bad grades in 11th?
Okay.
Did you give SAT any?
Right. So funny story, part 2. So you'll be surprised to know that I did not report my SAT anywhere.
Test optional.
Right.
Wow.
I did not report my SAT anywhere. Not Harvard.
That is
not
so
any
motivating.
school. No school whatsoever. And like I just told you, I wasn't super studious. Like I wasn't scoring. I wasn't the first position holder in class 11. So the answer to your question is yes. SATs or ACTs, APs, they will just boost your application a lot. Like a 1500 plus score on your application will show colleges that you are very, like someone who's doing everything together, like your SATs, your school, everything. So they'll be super excited to look into your application. But again, if you are someone who has already messed with your SAT or ACT for that matter, and you think that you've lost it, there's nothing left in the world for you, no. Again, not the thing you should happen, because colleges are not test optional, and a large part of your profile will be looked into, your like school grades will be looked into, and then your of course extracurriculars and essays will be looked into. So again, colleges being test optional is a very good opportunity to people for people to explore. So people should do that. I mean, if you think that you have really messed up your SAT or whatever, and that's stopping you from applying abroad, don't do that. At least apply, and then we'll see how it goes. That's what I did for myself. I applied. I was also largely demotivated. I did not score as much as I wanted to. It wasn't in 1500s, and that's the kind of score you would report to if you wanted to. You wouldn't report anything below that, because if you like report a score, and like for example, if you're the head girl, national player and everything, and then suddenly you report a score that is not going with that sort of a profile, so they'll just consider you as someone who's weak academically, right? But I wasn't, and I didn't want them to think that I am, so I did not report my scores, and that's the whole reason why I did that. But if you are someone who can score like 1500 or 1490, 1480 or something like that, again, that's a good score for Indians. But if you look at the stats abroad, they are all 1550s above, so you're competing with them. After all, you're competing with them. So if you can report a score that good, please do that and do it by all means. It will boost your profile. So I think that was like my the answer to your question. would be
And
that.
how important is it to have a counselor?
Right, I
Yeah.
understand. Cool,
Yeah.
good question. And I really wanted someone to ask this for a long time because I've done so many, these webinars and like stage shows, whatever, but nobody asked this. So, see, I'll traditionally talk about Lucknow right now, and then I'll sort of scale it pan India.
Right.
The current scenario about abroad consultancies has become more of like a market than it was earlier.
Yeah.
Now there are only a couple of consultancies left that will actually, really devote their time and soul into your application.
Right.
So for me, Gaurav sir and College Connect did that for me. They were devoting everything they got for me, and they were working very hard because they saw me working very hard. Because what happens by large is, like for example, let's say there are 100 people, and if you like organize a study abroad session for them, after the session, 10 of them will approach you, and they would want to ask you more questions. 5 of them will ultimately be super serious about it, and 2 of them will be like they would want to give up their life for going to IBs or whatever,
Yeah.
right? That's the kind of people you will meet in general. So ये जो 10 बच्चे आएंगे, these 10 people that you will meet ultimately, so the large part of them will not be serious. They will just think that I'll like pay some money, I'll get my application done, and I'll just fly because I'm rich enough to do that, and I'm not ambitious enough to think of a pathway for myself. I just want to leave the country. So these are a couple of people that you will get and you will meet. So again, if you are someone who is going to an abroad consultancy or like college consultancy company and you are really super 100% devoted, do it. It will not only like help you, especially in Lucknow, it will not only help you understand the process. The process you can understand anywhere, right? But that person will sit with you throughout, will attend calls late at night, will be your motivator up until you get accepted into your dream school or any school which you feel is the right one for you. But if you are someone who's very chill about it and has a very casual attitude, so if you talk to someone who had that kind of an attitude, that person will give a different answer to this question because that person had a different experience. They'll just think that, oh, I was served everything on a platter, and abroad consultancies are like, they're not that important. But that's not the answer you get from me because with me, my counselor was like 100% devoted.
And you were also on your toes, so
right, exactly. So it's like a two-way thing. You can like study in the best school in India, but if you are not competitive enough to be, to fit into that atmosphere, you will not like it and you will not give a good review about it. So I think if people are coming up to you and saying that no, don't do it from your school counselor, or like do it by on your own because I had a bad experience. No, bad experience comes from the person you are. They are not bad to you. If you are super ambitious and you have done something in your life, you can show on your application, they will help you. Now coming to the part about school counselors. School counselors are great. So I was like, me and my school counselor had a very good bond. So like I used to sit in a room for like days and like we used to just discuss about everything, and it was like a good bonding that we had. So right, same answer again. Different people may give different answers, but it's subjective to you. How you sort of create that bond for yourself and how you are as a person and how much you're willing to do things. So if you are very casual, you won't even like that meeting with your school counselor. And that's when people think a large notion of what is happening these days is that school counselors will do nothing for you. You really need to go to a study abroad consultancy. No. At least talk to your school counselor and ask them this question that, ma'am, should I go to an abroad consultancy? They will not straight up say no, that don't, and sort of like project something that it's something secretive and I want you to only do it from school. No, they will not do that. They will suggest you the right thing, subject it to your profile. If you don't need that kind of an advisor, or you don't need someone to like really work hard with you, you can do it on with your school. And school counselors are great up until the level to which you can go up to create that bond with them. If you create a good bond with your school counselor, you are going to be in the perfect space because you will need to take leaves from schools and all, and you'll need a lot of help, like mentally and physically both. So I think if you are someone who wants to like do it from your school counselor's help, please do it by all means and create that bond with the school counselor, because I think they will guide you a lot in terms of how to manage school. Your study abroad counselor will only talk about how to manage study abroad application. So for me, that was a two-way process, because my study abroad counselor by large would only advise me to focus on my study abroad like stuff, right, my application. But my school counselor on the other hand used to tell me that no, manage both. So that is why I was always pumped up, and I was always motivated that I can't give up on anything at this point. I have to take everything on a platter and look at it at all one priority level. I cannot choose one. So I never chose one. I was always running and sort of struggling, but then also kind of being successful in everything together. So right, the answer to your question would be that it's subjective to you how much you are willing to step out of your comfort zone and out of your routine to go up and talk to your school counselor, discuss everything, discuss if you should go to a study abroad counselor, and then take that step. So I think that's.
But paying an X amount, like counsel these are very costly.
Yeah, they
like,
are.
So you have to pay that.
Yeah, so only if you're very sure you have to pay that.
Exactly. Very true. I mean, if you are ambitious enough, and if you think that because no study abroad consultancy I think charges you less than 50,000, and that's like the littlest amount I'm mentioning, because I think we all know how much they charge, right?
Yeah.
So they charge in lakhs, and I know a couple of consultancies in Delhi that charge you like 8 lakhs for your application, and that's the amount you can literally pay for your undergrad in India.
Exactly.
Right.
That's just the counsel, okay.
Exactly, and that's just to complete your application. And trust me, my study abroad counselor was so good that he did not do anything for me. He told me that do this, but I did everything on my own. So I was also learning a lot. So I think ultimately, yes, you have to pay a hefty amount for that, but it was worth it, because for me it was worth it. For my friend Narayan, it was worth it, and for like a lot of people that I know, it was worth it, right? But then there are a lot of people who think it was not worth it, because they were in denial that I'll get in, I'm calm and smart enough, I'll get in. So I was never.
ये भी बात है ना, अभी इतने पैसे लगा के फिर इतनी फीस बच गई, वो भी तो बात है.
Exactly. True, very true. But the people think that abhi to I'm like spending like, for example, let's say a minimal amount of 4 lakhs on my application process, just for my application process. उसके बाद मुझे college fees देनी है. So everyone is in that phase, right?
But अगर अभी लगा दो क्या पता तब की फीस बच जाए तो yeah.
Me for real.
Right.
Right. So for me also the case was similar, that if I wasn't getting 100% financial aid slash scholarship, I wasn't going at all. Like there was no case that I would have gone, because it's just, I come from a financial background that requires that, and like I am not super rich or whatever, so I needed that. And if I wasn't getting it, I like study abroad was not an option for me at all. Even if it is Hong Kong or even if it was Singapore, I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have afforded it. So right, it was always like that for me, that and if I'm signing up for the study abroad consultancy or like counseling, I will do it. I'll give up my heart and soul for it, but I will do it with all the energy that I had. So I think that was me, and that is something you should be as a person, because I used to see that a large people who were coming in that coaching or in that center, they were not as determined as, or they were not like working as hard as I could see myself working hard. So they were very chill, and they used to like get their essays done very casually, and they used to be like, I don't even care, I'll not think a lot about this essay, I'll just write anything and I'll sort of upload it, and I don't care, I don't even want a scholarship. So if you are that person, please like go ahead.
Good for you.
Good for you. But again, ultimately you will have to make an identity for yourself. So for example, you get into Harvard and you did not even complete your own application by yourself. So what's the point? Why are you going to Harvard? You won't even appreciate it ever. You won't.
And for that fact, I don't think Harvard would even accept you, because
Exactly.
they have that eye, they know what is doing and what is not.
And you will ultimately have to appear for your interview anyway. So you cannot lie there and be like, listen, I'm rich, just take me in. You cannot do that. Right? You cannot do that. So it's very subjective to you, and it's about how much effort you're willing to put. And I'll always emphasize it. So right.
I think just last question, I mean, it was so insightful, so much to learn, thank you so much. But the last question is, what do you think stood out in your application? Like, what do you think? Of course, you wouldn't know what they thought about you.
But मेरी application में ये है,
waitlisted, what do you think Harvard liked? Or like, there must be a lot of people who might have a 96%, but what Ananya had something very unique. So what was that?
Okay, good question. So I believe there are 2 aspects of my application that I found super unique. Actually, one. So the second one is linked to it. So for me, I think I was from a science background, right? And I wanted to reflect that sort of my background into my application, because they would have obviously thought that, person coming from science background wants to study international law, it's like, not fitting in, she's not fitting in the right mindset. So I researched for like months and months. It's not only for Harvard, for like every university I applied to. So I researched a lot. I was like, I need to figure out a field that I can apply to, and I should actually, research more into, so that that's relative to my background, and that's something that I will do ultimately. So I researched a lot, and I kept on researching up until I realized that, okay, I have PCM background and I have legal studies as my optional subject. So I linked the two, and that's when I realized that, forensic law is something that I will apply to. So I came up with that idea, and I researched a lot, and ultimately I now have come to the point that I really want to study it. So I applied, like I wrote all of my essays and everything mostly about forensic law, and how everything I want to do and I want to learn. So I think forensic law was one aspect that I'm pretty sure it's not that unique, but the way I presented it was unique for me, at least. I think I don't know what they thought.
No way.
Second part, why I think I got in, and I think I have talked to a lot of Harvard admits, and all of them agree, is that the interview. It was everything for all of us. Like 8 people are going from India, and I'm the only girl. But I'm the only girl, like between India, Pakistan, Nepal. So I think these are the countries, and I'm the only girl amongst these countries. So, and I don't even know like other countries. I don't know what this
flex,
is, but
honestly.
not a flex is sexism, but okay.
I don't think so. It is
Yeah,
prevalent in
I mean,
education.
let's see. Huh.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know whatever the stats might have been, but anyway. So I think my interview was the one thing that helped me a lot, because everybody knew me on paper. Everybody knew that, okay, Ananya Chaudhary, City Montessori School, wants to study chemistry and everything, and okay, she has written essays, cool, she has a profile, cool, but they didn't know me. They didn't know me as a person at all. So I think you are seeing me now. But if you were to read about me, you would have a, like a mindset that, okay, she is someone, okay, she got into Harvard, very cool person, very professional and all that. So everybody who applies to Harvard is like that, right? So I think when I got the interview call and we talked, me and my interview talked, I think he got to know who I am as a person apart from my professional side, because that interview was not at all relative to my extracurriculars or anything like that. It was like largely about, like you said, a day in the life of Ananya, and that's what he was discussing, like my background, my parents, my upcoming and everything, my values. So I think because he got to know me a lot and how much I'm determined to grow, I think that's why I think I got into Harvard.
So choosing a right course is very, very important.
Right course is important, plus researching a lot. Don't just blindly apply to computer science because the society tells you to do so.
You got me.
Don't blindly apply to computer science, or like you think that AI is growing, so I'll just scoot in my application and I'll apply to AI. Don't do that. Research, and I have a lot of seniors come up to me and they're like, had I been 4 years younger, I would have been in your batch and we would have discussed this, and I would have researched more before applying, researched more before going to like IITs or whatever,
Right.
because they are not loving what they're doing. They're doing it. They're just doing it because they have to. Like, I don't think so that now they can sort of change, but that would be pretty much it, like that one thing. And like before this ends, there's just one thing that I want to, I want everyone to know, and this happened like day before yesterday. So I went to Delhi to attend the Harvard alumni reception, and it was like a student reception as well. So I went there, and funny story, because there were only 2 undergrads, me and my friend from Delhi, who got in this year. There was no undergrad, not even sophomore or like a rising senior or
wow.
It was just the 2 of us. And I met people who have graduated from Harvard in 1957, 1984, 1981,
Wow.
1994, and these people, they are, you look at them and you like have goosebumps because of the kind of success you feel in the air. Right.
Wow.
And that the chief guest, Mr. Gurucharan Das, there gave a speech, and he mentioned, and you go to any place in India and you attend a seminar or whatever, and there's a chief guest invited there. His speech will be so much about, hum ye kar denge, we will do this, and they will have a lot of bodyguards, and they'll just have that aura that they're not approachable, right? You just feel like, I cannot talk to this person, and he's like way beyond my league and all, and he's like a politician, and I cannot sit with him. I went there, and I was like super young, because I'm 18 right now, and everyone there was like in their 90s or 80s or whatever. And so he gave a speech, and his speech was so intellectually empowering. It was about how he went there and he wanted to study engineering because he was from India, and that was what his mindset was like. And he studied, like he went there back, you can imagine, like if he graduated from 57, so you can imagine how early that was, like the early independence years, right? So he went there, and he was told by his mother that if listen, you're going there, so do something out of it, don't waste that time, please study something that will get you money out of it, because that's the kind of mindset you would have if you are like early independence years. So he went there, and he was also like, okay, I'll do something productive, I'll study engineering and all that. Then he saw the course catalog. It was so rich, and he ended up studying Greek classics, he ended up studying Sanskrit love poetry, he ended up studying Roman mythology and the ancient history and all that. So he ended up studying that for 2 years, because at Harvard you don't need to declare your concentration up until like the end of your sophomore year or second year. So you can study anything for 2 years, like any single thing. You can study medicine, you can study engineering.
Humanities?
Right, obviously your stream is irrelevant at all. Why am I studying like a humanities subject?
I think it's possible for a science student to study.
No, that's India for you.
But that's अगर मैं इंजीनियरिंग के जा रहा हूँ वहाँ पे आर्ट्स
Yes. Because you can attend any class that you want to. You can sit in a philosophy class, and you can also then the next day you can go and attend an engineering class. So he told us one thing. He highlighted that's what he did. And so the one advice he gave me, and I personally talked to him, he was like, you are lucky enough to have been admitted to this institution, because what will happen to you is for 2 years you can explore. You don't have to tell them which field you want to do for 2 years. You can like keep on exploring.
But
And
in the application you have to be specific.
right, you have to be specific. At least you have to, not really, like
but
not
interest
specific
towards one particular thing.
See, so it's again subjective to you. If that's the part of you that you want to show, if you are very sure that you want to study government, for example, or international law, show them, like write it down. But if you're unsure, then just tell them that how you are a right fit for them, how much you are willing to grow. I think growth and individuality is what they're looking at the most. So right, again, I'll emphasize on that like later, but just that part of his speech was super empowering, because he mentioned that for 2 years he just studied all of that and ended up like graduating with a degree in philosophy, and he's like the author of Bound India and all of that. And I don't know, he was mentioning something about being the CEO of Vicks Vaporub. I'm still not sure about that thing, but it was so, I just came out of that reception as a different person overall, because I just had goosebumps. And I met like these business tycoons of India, and they were just casually talking to me as if I'm one of them, because I am now part of the Harvard community, but I'm still a freshman. I haven't even started. So like they just made me feel so comfortable in that particular field, and in that room everyone just smelled of success, and everyone just smelled of humbleness. So I think everyone was so humble, so grounded to the earth. I was sitting with like a retired IS officer, and she treated me like I was her own granddaughter or something. So it was so good to see that that can be me after a couple of years, and I'll be attending the alumni reception, and I'll be sharing my experiences and everything. So that was like a networking event. So it was, I don't know, as an undergrad who hasn't even started, I met these people, and I like connected with them on LinkedIn, and I have their numbers. And the way they were telling me, because so everyone was there going to the master's school at Harvard. So there are different schools like the John F. Kennedy School, the medicine school, and all of that, right? So you have to like put this tag here which says your class year. And I was just everyone used to approach me because they used to think that I'll be attending masters or whatever. And so they approached me, they're like, hi, and they want to network with me. And then I'm like, hi, I'm an incoming freshman. So they're like, okay, which school? Because which school in the sense? Which school in masters? And like, sir, incoming freshman at the Harvard College. And then they just like lose their minds. They're like, oh my god, you're so young. And it was, it's just, I'm so happy that I'm getting to start again, because I have done so much here that I think starting is no more an option here. Now it's like everyone looks at me, and I'm like this person who got into Harvard, so everyone wants advices and wants to know me. But again, nobody knows me as a person. So I think now I met them, and they were just so casual, they were so chill about everything, they were giving life advices, and I don't know what all big things they have said, and it's just sort of rewired my brain or whatever, but it was super like fun. So like that is what I was sharing, that don't stick with that mindset that I have to study engineering because the society tells me to, that I have to study medicine or I have to give JEE, IIT, NEET. Don't do that. Like, please be open to options. Please be open to options and research before you decide. Research before you decide IIT Bombay and everything, because yes, IIT Bombay is great, but it is great for people who are fit for that institute. If you're going to like keep on crying and keep on like sort of thinking that I'm not getting in IIT Bombay and I have to score like this much percentile in JEE, but I think I'm not good enough, because that's because you haven't researched enough. Everyone has that one spark in them that if they ignite, then they're unstoppable. But I think mediocrity is very toxic for you. So being mediocre is not nice either. Because teachers also remember like the topper or the failure. They don't remember the average. Why? So beach wala jo ek phase aata hai aapka mediocrity ka, I think that is not suggested. Wo mat karo. Even if you're someone, that's what I told in my school, that I just visited my school and I was telling them. So even if you're someone who's like a budding influencer or who just likes to build outfits, do something out of it. Yeah, do something like don't just sit with your talent in a room with your phone. Do something out of it, like learn something from it and teach others about it. So I think that is pretty much it. Like wanted to share that.
I think this is the richest advice. And
Yeah.
the credibility. I'm just so grateful to you for this. We needed it, and a lot of people our age needed this.
And that motivated a lot of teenagers, and I am also motivated to
full
work
of
now.
positivity.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ananya.
It was great. It was
Honestly.
great. I'd love to talk more, but again, time constraints.
Yeah, time constraint. Honestly, the conversation can go on and on and on. But
Always.
thank you so much for taking out your
Yeah,
precious time.
thank you so much.
You're moving a country in 10 days and you had the time to sit with us and talk about your journey and share your insights, your experiences. Honestly, very, very
Very grateful.
enriching, very exhilarating. Thank you so
Loved
much.
every bit of it, literally loved. Because this is not what I usually say in my, like I mentioned to you guys, that I don't say all this when I'm on a stage and when someone asks me to give advice about studying abroad. That's not what I say, but it was like I needed to talk to someone about it, because I just want people to know what actually goes on in life, in general. So getting into Harvard is a part of me, but that's just not me entirely. So
This is what we needed.
Yeah, this is what we needed. Yeah.
Thank you, Ananya.
Thank you so much.
And all the best for your journey.
Thank you so